everyone, this is Miss Redmond again, and we are back on day 4 for our drawing conclusions and making inferences lesson. All right, so our I can statement for today is I can draw conclusions about a story using details in my background knowledge. Now, before we begin, let's review our fiction characteristics. So in order for a text to be fiction, it will have characters, setting, or a setting, a problem, and a solution. Now let's review our skill. So to draw conclusions, we do something called making an inference, or we infer. When we infer, we are putting pieces together. So in other words, you are figuring out something about the text that the author did not directly tell you. So to make an inference, you are simply using the information from the text and your background knowledge, which is what you already know. So here you can take a moment to pause so that you can create your own graphic organizer, and you're going to do this 2 times like we have been doing earlier this week. And once you're finished, you can press play so that you can continue with the lesson. All right, so question number 1, what you're going to do is put your graphic organizers to the side. You're just going to see how I would work through this problem. I'm going to read and show you how I would answer this question. Maggie was getting ready to walk to school. She put on her coat and grabbed her backpack. As she was leaving, her mother said, "I love you. Be careful." You can infer that A, Maggie is in kindergarten or 1st grade, B, Maggie lives close to school, or C, Maggie is never late for school, or D, Maggie is excited about going to school. Now, when I look at my graphic organizer, I have text information, background knowledge, and then my conclusion. So when I think about what the clues were in that text, well, the text told us that Maggie was getting ready to walk to school, and her mom told her to be careful. Now, when I think about what I already know, I do know that students who walk to school usually live close by. So with that, I can infer that Maggie lives close to school. Now, when I go back to the actual problem or question, and I look at the other options, I'm also thinking about what actually makes sense when I look at these options. The passage, it's a very small passage, but when you look at option A, Maggie is in kindergarten or 1st grade, the clues from the text don't really give you anything or any idea that Maggie is in kindergarten or 1st grade. If you look at C, Maggie is never late for school, it doesn't really give, the text doesn't really give us any clues that let us know that she's late for school. And then when you look at D, Maggie is excited about going to school. The text also, again, doesn't really give us any clues that point to her being excited about going to school. So the best option, the best answer is that she lives close to school. Okay. So now this is just showing that the correct answer is B. All right, now you can bring your graphic organizers in front of you, and we are going to read this passage together. Hudson hurried out of the house so he wasn't late for work. He wore overalls and carried a toolbox with wrenches in it. He hopped in his truck and drove off. The sign on his truck said, "Pipe Masters." You can infer that A, Hudson is an auto mechanic, B, Hudson enjoys his job, C, Hudson works as a plumber, Or D, Hudson is a truck salesman? All right, so when I'm gonna pull up my graphic organizer, and feel free to pause here so that you can answer the question. Once you have finished filling out your graphic organizer, you can press play so that you can compare your answer. So when I look at the clues that passage gave me, I know, based on the text, I know that Hudson wore overalls and carried a toolbox with wrenches to work. The sign on his truck said Pipe Masters. Now, when I think about what I already know, I know that people who carried a toolbox full of wrenches and works with pipes usually fixes things like toilets and sinks. So I can infer that Hudson works as a plumber. Now, when I go back and look at my options, A, Hudson is an auto mechanic. Now, I'm sure that auto mechanics use a wrench while they're working on cars. But when I think about the other clues that the passage gave us, the sign saying Pipe Masters doesn't really let us know that Hudson is a auto mechanic or works on cars. B, Hudson enjoys his job. Again, there aren't many clues in the text or in the passage that lets us know that Hudson enjoys his job. And then D, Hudson is a truck salesman. The biggest clue here is the fact that his truck said Pipe Masters, and he in the toolbox with the wrenches in it lets us know that he's using those wrenches to work with pipes. And anyone who works with pipes usually works with toilets or sinks, which means that Hudson works as a plumber. So that's like what I'm doing here is I'm going through a process of eliminating the options that don't make sense here. And of course, thinking about what the text is telling us and what I already know, which is my background knowledge. So our correct answer here was C. Okay, here's question number 3. We're going to read it together. Everett held his father's hand as he crossed the busy parking lot. They walked into a grocery store. Everett's dad lifted him into the seat of the shopping cart. Here, said Dad, you can hold my shopping list. You can infer that A, Everett had never been to a grocery store. B, Everett's dad does not shop often. C, Everett's dad needs help with the shopping. Or D, Everett is very young. Feel free to pause so that you can complete your graphic organizer and then press play when you're ready to compare your answer. All right, here I have my graphic organizer ready. So when I think about the clues in the text tells us that his dad held his hand while walking through the parking lot, and then his dad put him into the seat of the shopping cart. Now, when I think about that seat, I know that only babies and small toddlers can fit in the seat of the shopping cart. So I can infer that Everett is very young. Now, again, when I look at these different options and I go through and eliminate the ones that don't make sense, A says Everett had never been to a grocery store. The clues in this text doesn't really let us know anything about Everett being in a grocery store for the first time. B, Everett's dad does not shop often. Again, there aren't any clues that really tell us that his dad does not shop often. And then C, Everett's dad needs help with the shopping. Again, there are no clues that tell us that his dad needs help with the shopping. So the correct answer is D. All right, so today we practice drawing conclusions by making inferences. And remember, when we infer, we are putting pieces together. It's like putting two and two together. In other words, you are figuring out something about the text that the author did not tell you. And to make an inference, you are simply using the information from the text and your background knowledge. All right, guys, so that concludes our lesson for today. I will see you on tomorrow for another lesson on drawing conclusions and making inferences. Thank you for watching.